UFC 299 went down this Saturday, and I needed a good night of fights after seeing Francis Ngannou get knocked out, and luckily the UFC 299 card did come through. Starting off with Peter Yan versus Song Yong-dong. I almost put money on Song Yong-dong because I thought it was an interesting matchup, in which it was, because Song Yong-dong made it a really good fight and started off really strong, but Peter Yan did as he does, and he just gained information throughout that fight. Just kind of figured it out and squeaked out that victory. Some people think it's controversial, but I do think Peter Yan pulled it out. Next, we had Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. How was that? Was that pretty good? Because I think that's the first time I actually said it close to right. Gilbert was looking pretty good, but unfortunately, Gilbert Burns just got caught. It was a pretty vicious knockout. I hate seeing Gilbert Burns get knocked out. He looked devastated after. His hair looked awesome, and it was sad seeing it bounce off the canvas like that. I'm a huge Gilbert Burns fan, so watching him get knocked out by Jack Della Maddalena, it was sad seeing Jack knock him out. Because Gilbert's just such a nice, sweet, genuine dude. So I'm a huge fan of his. I like guys who keep it sincere and just are really cool people. You know what I mean? You don't see them putting on a fake persona. They're just genuinely cool people. And that's who Gilbert Burns is. So it's never fun watching those type of people get knocked out. Like a Gilbert Burns or like a Stephen Thompson. It just sucks because those are cool people. But congratulations to Jack. Hell of a knockout. Hell of a name on his record now, on his resume, so hopefully we see him get into some bigger fights, and I'm excited to see what he does in the future. But let's move on to that MVP debut in the UFC versus Kevin Holland. This one, I knew automatically when I saw MVP was the underdog. I was putting money on MVP because Kevin Holland had a hard time versus that point karate style when he fought Stephen Thompson, and I'm like, that's just easy money in my opinion. And the fight turned out exactly pretty much how I thought it was going to. MVP just did a good job of staying way out of that range and blitzing in, landing that 1-2. Kevin Holland, man, I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland, but he just could not close the distance, get it to the ground. I don't even think he wanted to get to the ground. It looked like he was just okay with trying to land against Michael Venom Page, but Michael Venom Page was making him whiff and making him look kind of silly out there. And then on top of that, Michael Venom Page taunts you. And it's funny. It's funny too because my wife's like, why is it that Michael Venom Page and Stephen Thompson have the same exact style, but Kevin Holland hates that MVP's running around and stuff? And I told her, I think it's because Stephen Thompson's just like a nice dude, you know what I mean? And he doesn't really taunt. Where MVP like kind of touches you, runs, and taunts. So fighters are like, all right, you're taunting, but you're also running. But what can you do? It's just that kickboxing, karate, blitzing style is just so dominant. Like we'll get to it in the main event because Sean O'Malley uses a lot of that. A lot of the best strikers in the UFC are great with that point karate blitzing style, throwing feints, you know what I mean? That counter striking type of style. And I'm excited to see what MVP does in the UFC because he looked really good versus Kevin Holland. In my opinion, he looked really good. And yeah, I think there's some fun matchups. We got to see that Stephen Thompson versus MVP fight, right? That's got to be next. Make it happen. Please, make it happen. It's got to happen. I'm begging you, it's got to happen. I might have misheard this, but I even think Kevin Holland went up to MVP after the fight and said, we got to see the Stephen Thompson fight. And I agree, we got to see that fight. That matchup has got to happen. Please, UFC, make that happen. It has to be next. All right, but let's get to that co-main event. Dustin Poirier got introduced as a future Hall of Famer, and I love it because how can you not be a fan of this guy? He's just a fighter's fighter, and taking on a challenger who's number 12 when he's ranked number 3. It's someone who's tough. I actually think Dustin Poirier was the underdog in this fight, and I should have put money on him. That's how much I was scared of Saint Denis, is that I had full confidence in Dustin Poirier, but it's just like Saint Denis is one of those grinders who makes it nasty, and it's just a tough fight. It's not one I feel comfortable putting my money on. And it was a tough fight. It was a war. Saint Denis was making it exhausting. That looked like a grueling fight. I was getting tired watching it from my couch, but Dustin Poirier hung in there, jumped to the guillotine like 400 times when he was doing fine, rocking him on the feet. But that made for a bunch of funny moments.
Stop jumping for guillotines. Got you.
Dustin Poirier talks about jumping to the guillotine after in the post-fight. It made for funny moments, and it made for some good laughs, but it all worked out in the end at the same time because Dustin Poirier did get the finish, knocking out our TKO in St. Denis, and it was beautiful. He did such a great job. Yeah, shout out to Dustin Poirier, definitely a future Hall of Famer in my book, and one of my favorite fighters. I love watching Dustin Poirier because you know he's always coming to scrap, and it's going to be a fun fight, a war. It's just going to be a good one. So love that fight. Let's get to the main event, the rematch, Sean O'Malley versus Chito Marlon Chito Vera, however you want to say it. I predicted this fight going in. I said as long as Sean O'Malley sticks to his game plan, sticks and move, you know, throw those feints, draw out punches, counter strike, I feel like he's going to be pretty safe and have a pretty easy time in this fight. But if he gets into those little scraps and brawls, it's going to get ugly. And there was a couple little moments in the fight where it did get scrappy and Chito was landing. And those were the moments where it's like, okay, Chito, that's what you got to do in this fight. But to be honest, a lot of us watching like Joe Rogan, DC commentating the fight, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what you got to do, Chito. We all talk like this because Sean wasn't really getting hit much. So the little amount we see Sean get hit, we're like, ooh, like, could he get knocked out? But he doesn't really get hit. And it's interesting because we don't know if he has a chin or not. We've seen him get rocked versus Peter Yan, but he took a massive shot and he came back. So he showed that he has some resilience. So it's interesting seeing how strong of a chin Sean O'Malley has, right? Because that's a big part of being a fighter. But he doesn't get hit, so he doesn't get it tested often. That was a great display for Sean O'Malley. I've been a big Sean O'Malley fan for a while, and I've been saying he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. You have people like Stephen Thompson, Israel Adesanya, some of the best strikers in the UFC saying Sean O'Malley might have some of the best feints and counter punches and 1-2s in the UFC. That is some high praise from some really high-level strikers. And I gotta agree, because I was thinking Sean was one of the best strikers years ago. And now he's just looking untouchable. I am nervous about that Merab fight. I'm nervous because that is the type of style that is Sean O'Malley's worst matchup if Merab could get it to the ground. Merab's a small dude. I have that Conor McGregor and Sean O'Malley mentality where it's like these small dudes, you just got to touch them. And you've seen what happens to Merab when his chin gets touched. Henry Cejudo almost knocked him out. Someone like Sean O'Malley, who's a killer, we know for sure he's going to find that chin. He's found everybody's chin, even if it went to a decision. He knocked down Peter Yan. He's cracked Chito Vera. All the fights that it has gone to a decision, he cracked them many, many times. So we know Sean O'Malley is going to find the chin on Merab at least once. But if Merab could get it to the ground, that's a pretty scary fight, in my opinion, for Sean O'Malley. So the Merab fight's most likely next, but Sean O'Malley called out Ilia Topuria. Yeah, Sean O'Malley called out Ilia Topuria, and I don't know, maybe I think he has to defend the belt a couple more times before he moves up. Ilia hasn't even defended the belt yet, so I don't think it's the time. I get where he's coming from. I think he has a better chance versus Ilia Topuria than he does versus Alexander Volkanovski, but that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think. Who should Sean O'Malley fight next? What was your favorite fight of the night? Is your heart broken because Francis Ngannou got knocked out? Mine is. I'm really sad. But that UFC 299 card made it up. Hope you have a great week, guys. That's it for this one. Until next time, peace.